I want to use the word warning me about. And so God just, both of these passages of Scripture the same morning, and they both had the same message to me. And so I'm just sharing with you guys. But 2 Chronicles 14, I think we're going to look at Asa in the Old Testament and then Peter in the New Testament. But I know I've talked about Asa on Sunday night a couple of times. I don't think I've done it on Sunday morning. But there's 3 chapters here that are devoted to King Asa. He's the king of Judah, which is the southern kingdom. The kingdom has already been divided into Israel in the north and Judah in the south. And we get to the end of this passage, and the northern kingdom is actually attacking the southern kingdom. So they're that divided. They're at odds with each other. But Asa is about the 5th king from David, if I counted right. So that's how far along we are in you had Saul, David, Solomon, then a couple of others, and then Asa. And Asa was a good king for most of his life. For most of his life. 2 Chronicles 14, beginning with verse 2. Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He removed the foreign altars and the high places, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles. He commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, and to obey his laws and commands. He removed the high places and incense altars in every town in Judah, and the kingdom was at peace under him. He built up fortified cities of Judah, since the land was at peace. No one was at war with him during those years, for the Lord gave him rest. Let us build up these towns, he said to Judah, and put walls around them, and towers, gates, and bars. The land is still ours, because we have sought the Lord our God. We sought him, and he has given us rest on every side. So they built and prospered. Asa had an army of 300,000 men from Judah, equipped with large shields and spears, and 280,000 from Benjamin, armed with small shields and with bows. All these were brave fighting men. Zerah the Cushite marched out against them with a vast army and 300 chariots, and came as far as Mareshah. Asa went out to meet him, and they took up battle positions in the valley of Zephathah near Mareshah. Now this is not Israel. This is not, we're going to read another battle in a few minutes. This is a non-Jewish army that's coming against him. In verse 11, then Asa called to the Lord his God and said, Lord, there is no one like you to help the powerless against the mighty. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you, and in your name we have come against this vast army. O Lord, you are our God. Do not let men prevail against you. The Lord struck down the Cushites before Asa and Judah. The Cushites fled, and Asa and his army pursued them as far as Gerar. Such a great number of Cushites fell that they could not recover. They were crushed before the Lord and his forces. The men of Judah carried off a large amount of plunder. They destroyed all the villages around Gerar, for the terror of the Lord had fallen upon them. They plundered all these villages since there was much booty there. They also attacked the camps of the herdsmen and carried off droves of sheep and goats and camels, and they returned to Jerusalem. First couple of verses of chapter 15. The Spirit of God came upon Azariah, son of Obed. He went out to meet Asa and said to him, Listen to me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you when you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will forsake you. So things are going well. Asa is seeking the Lord. He's not only seeking the Lord, he's getting rid of all the idols. He's calling the whole nation to seek the Lord. He is depending on God. This one battle that they had, he was depending on God to fight that battle, and he was moving in a good direction. Verse 8, when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Azariah, son of Obed the prophet, he took courage. He removed the detestable idols from the whole land of Judah and Benjamin, from the towns he had captured in the hills of Ephraim. He repaired the altar of the Lord that was in front of the portico of the Lord's temple. Then he assembled all Judah and Benjamin and the people from Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, who had settled among them, for large numbers had come over to him from Israel when they saw that the Lord his God was with him. So some of the people from the northern kingdom were coming down into the southern kingdom because they said, God's with those people down there. They're seeking the Lord and God's with them, and we're going down there. And so they had moved down. That's how godly the direction that Asa was leading. Verse 16, King Asa also deposed his grandmother Maacah from her position as queen mother because she had made a repulsive Asherah pole, an idol. So he dethroned his grandmother, because she was not leading in the right direction. Asa cut the pole down, broke it up, burned it in the Kidron Valley, although he did not remove the high places from Israel. So there were some high places that were apparently left over, maybe ones that they worshiped the Lord on. That's always a debatable thing there, not a big issue for us right now. Asa's heart was fully committed to the Lord all his life. He brought into the temple of God the silver and gold, the articles that he and his father had dedicated. There was no more war until the 35th year of Asa's reign. No war until the 35th year. So apparently there was a long period of time where there weren't any attacks from enemies, and they had cleaned up everything, and they had gotten rid of the idols, and they had been seeking the Lord. And then there was a long period of peace. And then we come to chapter 16. In the 36th year of Asa's reign, Baasha, king of Israel, the Israelites, went up against Judah and fortified Ramah to prevent anyone from leaving or entering the territory of Asa, king of Judah. So there's a conflict that is brewing. Asa then took the silver and gold out of the treasuries of the Lord's temple and of his own palace and sent it to Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, which was above Israel. So you got this foreign country up here in the north, not only above Judah, but it's above Israel. They're way up there in the north, and they have been allied to Israel. But Asa from Judah is taking all of this gold and silver, sending it to Ben-Hadad up there in Aram, who was ruling in Damascus. Let there be a treaty between me and you, he said, and there was between my father and your father. See, I am sending you silver and gold. Now break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, so he will withdraw from me. In other words, stop being his companion, his ally, and start being our ally. And then he'll be afraid and he'll withdraw. Ben-Hadad agreed with King Asa, money talks, and sent the commanders of his forces against the towns of Israel. So King Asa, or King Baasha in Aram attacked Israel. They conquered Ijon, Dan, Abel, Maim, and all the store cities of Naphtali. When Baasha heard this, he stopped building Ramah, he stopped fortifying against Judah, and abandoned his work. Then King Asa brought all the men of Judah, and they carried away from Ramah the stones and timber Baasha had been using. With them he built up Geba and Mizpah. So it worked. What he did worked. Temporarily, at least. He had this a deal with Baasha up in Aram. Aram attacked Israel. Israel withdrew from attacking Judah. And not only did that happen, but all the stuff that Israel had been using to fortify, they left it behind. And Asa was able to take all that stuff and use it to fortify another city. But listen, at that time, Hanani, the seer, the prophet, came to Asa, king of Judah, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Aram and not on the Lord your God, the army of the king of Aram has escaped your hand. You would have defeated him. Were not the Cushites and Libyans a mighty army with great numbers of chariots and horsemen? Remember back when you first became king and the Cushites attacked you? Weren't they a great army? Yet when you relied on the Lord, he delivered them into your hand. For the eyes of the Lord range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him. You have done a foolish thing, and from now on you will be at war. Asa was angry with the seer because of this. He was so enraged that he put him in prison. At the same time, Asa brutally oppressed some of the people. So here's what has happened. This king has been king for 36 years, and he has done well in most of it. But now, in his old age, he's attacked by the Israelites or threatened by the Israelites, and instead of turning to the Lord, he turns to another nation and relies on them. Instead of relying on God in his fear, anxiety, he relies on the wrong source. Why did he do that? I started thinking about this in terms of what the Lord was saying to me. And I kind of think something had happened in Asa's heart before that attack. I think he had kind of eased his way out of wholeheartedly seeking the Lord. He had gotten comfortable. He had everything that he needed. There was a period of time there for years where he wasn't threatened. And he had just kind of gotten used to this comfortable lifestyle that he had been given by the Lord. And when this threat came, he didn't even ask God. Did you notice that? He didn't even call for a prophet. He didn't check with the Lord. He didn't pray. He just did what came to mind. He just did what any other nation would do. He said, we're in trouble. We need to get help from somebody. And he didn't turn to the Lord. And then, when he was rebuked, did he say to the prophet, oh, I really messed up. I really blew it. I hear what you're saying, and I know you're speaking from the Lord, and I'm sorry, and I repent. God, please forgive. No, he didn't do any of that. He got mad. He got mad at God. He got mad at the prophet. And he put the prophet in prison. And there didn't even come a point where that changed. Listen to the rest of the chapter. The events of Asa's reign from beginning to end are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. In the 39th year of his reign, Asa was so 3 years later, in the 39th year of his reign, Asa was afflicted with a disease in his feet. Though his disease was severe, even in his illness, he did not seek help from the Lord. Why? Because he's mad. He's angry at God. But only from the physicians. Then in the 41st year of his reign, Asa died and rested with his fathers, and they buried him in the tomb that he had cut out for himself in the city of David. They laid him on a bier covered with spices and various blended perfumes, and they made a huge fire in his honor. That was the end of his life. He ended his life away from God. He ended his life in rebellion against God. And so when I read that, and then I went over and read what we're going to read next, you know, at first there was a tendency for me just to say, well, boy, he really messed up, and he shouldn't have done that, and, you know. And then I started thinking, did he ever see that coming? And I started thinking, I need to listen more wholeheartedly to what God's saying here. Because every human being is vulnerable to falling into what Asa fell into. Anybody, you know, think about Asa's history, his life. Why was he mad at God? I wonder if it was because, God, I did all this good stuff for you. I did everything right. I trusted you. I'm the one that did all this, you know. And now, in my latter stages of life, you're going to rebuke me? You're going to point out something that I failed in? He'd gotten used to being king, hadn't he? And he just got hardened to the Lord. And you and I, when we get comfortable and we've been blessed, and we've got what we've never had before, and we don't have to worry about where the next meal is coming from, and we start to get complacent, and we aren't seeking the Lord like we were at some point in our life, we are vulnerable. And so, do you think maybe the devil had anything to do with this? Do you think maybe the devil was waiting for Asa? Let's leave him alone for a while. We're not going to give him any trouble for a while. We're just going to let him get lulled into his complacent state where he doesn't really realize he needs the Lord anymore. And then we'll attack him. And Asa blew it. It's so tragic. Let's go to John chapter 21. This is after Jesus has died on the cross. He's risen from the grave. He's appeared to his followers a number of times. And this is the one where they're out fishing, and he comes and stands on the shore, and he's made them breakfast. And they come ashore, and they realize it's Jesus, and Jesus reinstates Peter. You know, he says, Simon, do you really love me? You know that I love you, and feed my sheep. And then at the end of that conversation, verse 18, John chapter 21, Jesus is talking specifically to Peter, and he says to him, I tell you the truth. You know, when I'm up here preaching and when I'm reading this, I still find myself distancing myself from it. I just caught myself right then. I still find myself like just preaching a sermon. And before we know it, you guys are just like, okay, you listen to a sermon and then you go home, you know. But God keeps reminding me, Barry, you better listen to me. You better listen to me. I'm warning you. God knows what's going to happen before it happens. You know what I mean? It's going to happen before it happens. And that's what he does with Peter here. So that was just me confessing to you as I'm reading here. I tell you the truth, Jesus said to Peter, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, follow me. He says to Peter, when you were young, you handled it all, you know. You did what you wanted to do. You dressed yourself. You went where you wanted to go. You did what you decided to do. But Peter, I'm telling you something. Barry, I'm telling you something. Church, I'm telling you something. It's not always going to be that way. The day is going to come when things are not like they've always been. And someone else is going to dress you, and they're going to take you where you don't want to go. Jesus wasn't saying to Peter, you really ought to want to go where you... No, he's not saying that, but he's saying, I want you to be prepared for what happens. Because the attack will come. And if you're asleep spiritually, you're not going to be ready for it. And you won't be able to glorify God in the way that you die. He could have said to Peter, remember how you denied me? You didn't do too well there, did you? Because you weren't prepared. Why weren't you prepared? Because you didn't pray with me in the garden. I told you then, pray so that you won't fall into temptation. But what did you do? You went to sleep. And you didn't have what you needed to handle what it was that was coming. So I'm telling you again, Jesus could say to Peter, I'm telling you again, those kinds of circumstances are going to come again. Dangerous circumstances are going to come again. Trouble is going to come again. Right? So you need to listen to what I'm saying now so that you're ready. Don't you want to be ready? I want to be ready. I really do. I ask God pretty often, Lord, whenever it's time, I pray that I'm so full of you that I respond to the circumstances with your strength and with your peace. I don't even respond to much less circumstances with that all the time. But I want to be ready. I want to be filled. And the Lord is good that He gives us warning. But I felt that battle, like that human tendency to put it off, to say, well, maybe I'll think about that one day. But He wasn't telling me that one day. He was telling me that Friday. And He was telling Peter that. So how are we ready? How are we ready to handle? Because I don't care how much you and I imagine that we're going to live forever. We're not. I don't care how much we think, well, God's never going to let anything happen to me. Things have always happened to people. And they're going to happen to you. And they're going to happen to me. I was going last week to see 3 people in the hospitals in Atlanta with serious stuff going on, and all of them were younger than I am. we're not going to be spared. But we can be prepared. And the only way that we are prepared is to be prepared spiritually. I know the tendency, I know how we are. You can't be prepared enough physically or financially or human strength. There's only one way to be prepared, and that's to be prepared spiritually. And so that's what I want to be. And so what did Jesus say to Peter? Follow me. It's not complicated. It's not, there's not 100 things to do to be prepared, brothers and sisters. Jesus said to Peter, this is going to happen to you. Follow me. Just follow me. Follow me when things are going well, and stay in dependence on me. Stay close to me. Keep a hunger. God, restore, right? God, keep a hunger burning inside of me. I don't want to be like Asa and start handling things myself. I want to stay dependent on the Lord. I want to keep seeking the Lord. I want to love God more in 10 years if the Lord tarries and I'm still here than I do today. So just follow, What does that mean? It means go with Him. It means walk with Him. It means don't be just a part of a belief system that calls itself Christianity. Don't even be just part of a body that calls itself the church, but follow Jesus. Know Jesus. Go with Jesus every day, every day. And when you start getting complacent, and I know you do, then get on your face before God and say, Lord, forgive me for getting at ease in this world. I want to love you. I don't want my dependence to be on my 401k. I want my dependence to be on you. And I want to stay there. Right? Amen. All right. Y'all ain't just listening to a sermon, are you? Okay. Because I know how it is. Sometimes I just start preaching a sermon and I think, wait a minute. That's not it. We got to listen to God. I need to listen to God. I don't want to be unprepared. Whew. I know the Lord can let something happen in my life that I can't handle. I can imagine some things that I don't want to handle. But God can also... I sent my son a message and said, do you still have my Dietrich Bonhoeffer book? His biography? And he said, yes. I said, is it handy? He said, it's in my office. He was at home last night. I said, in the morning when you get to the church, would you look up and see if you can find the place where the doctor was talking about watching him die? And I was thinking maybe he could take a picture. Before I finished, he sent me this. I said, how did you do that? He ain't even where the book is. I said, how did you do that? He said, the internet. Herman Fisher Holstrung, a Nazi doctor who witnessed Bonhoeffer's death, wrote, I saw Pastor Bonhoeffer kneeling on the floor, praying fervently to God. I was most deeply moved by the way this lovable man prayed, so devout and so certain that God heard his prayer. At the place of execution, he again said a short prayer and then climbed the few steps to the gallows, brave and composed. His death ensued after a few seconds. In the almost 50 years that I worked as a doctor, I have hardly ever seen a man die so entirely submissive to the will of God. Prepared. Help us to be prepared. Let's stand together.